Hello, everybody. It's Ginger from GingerScraps. Welcome back to digital scrapbooking on the iPad with Affinity Photo 2. This is lesson 4, and in lesson 4, we're going to dive into the most exciting parts of getting to know Affinity Photo 2 Workspace and getting started on your very first scrapbook page. If you've been following along with this series by now, you should already have your files downloaded and organized. If not, no worries, go back and check out lessons 2 and 3, and you'll be ready to jump in with us. In this lesson, we'll talk through the layout of Affinity Photo 2 interface. We'll talk about what the main tools do, and I'll show you how to open up a digital scrapbooking template so we can start scrapbooking together. Whether you're brand new to Affinity or you're switching from Photoshop, I promise it won't take long before everything starts to feel familiar. So grab your iPad, open up Affinity Photo 2, and let's get started. The first thing we're going to want to do is get acquainted with Affinity Photo 2 Workspace. There is a ton to cover, and Affinity Photo has a great quick start guide. You can find it right here under Help, and then click on Quick Start Guide. It has an explanation of the tools, the workspace, the personas, way more information than we will use for scrapbooking the majority of the time. I don't use all the tools that Affinity has to offer at all. I really only use the basic tools to scrapbook with, but you can do a lot from basic to advanced scrapbooking and photo editing with Affinity Photo 2. The first thing we already did is open up your Affinity Photo 2 app on your iPad. So now we covered this already in a previous lesson, but a quick refresh is the live docs. This is your page of open documents. So it lets you switch between projects you're actively working on, and you can jump into any open layout without having to reopen it from storage. So another one of the things I like is that you can quickly see when you're looking at a 2-page spread, you can easily see you can't see the whole thing because it is cut off top and bottom, but you can see how the page has a nice flow to it by just looking at these little thumbnail versions of it right here. You can see this trim going along the bottom that will go from the left page over to the right page when I print them out and put them in my album. So that's kind of a nice little thing about the live docs area. And then we have the new option right here, and that is to create a new document. You really won't be using most of these other options for scrapbooking. So in the new document area, you can just input 12 by 12 inches, 300 dpi. You can leave the rest of this in the default format. You can also save that preset, so you can enter in all the information that you want, and then you can add that preset right here. You can name it scrapbooking page or whatever you want. And then when you want to come back to work on that page, you'll just find it in the list right here and it will be already in there for you. I don't use this. I use templates pretty much every time I scrap, but not everyone likes to do that. So that's how you'll do it if you want to start a brand new blank page and build the page all by yourself. This is what we will most commonly be using: open and then import document. I covered this already, but quickly, we always want to import a document because what that is basically doing is opening up a copy of a working copy of that page. So whatever you have, it will be creating a new copy of that. So it won't destroy the original template at all, which is really handy if you want to use that template multiple times and then you override the original, saving over the original. Then when you want to use it again, you'll have to delete everything off of it and try to bring it back to its original state. So by choosing the import document, you will not have to worry about that. So that is what we will be using almost all the time. And then quickly, there's templates where you can browse the templates on your iPad. Lessons, which looks like this. There'll be quick lessons that Affinity put out that you can quickly go through if you're interested in that. And then again, the help where you can get some more information from Affinity itself. The quick start guide is pretty handy, so it might be worth looking at. So today, of course, we're going to start with the open and import. So the first step is to open up a template. Like I said before, of course, you don't have to use templates. You can always create a blank page from scratch, but I love templates. So we're going to start off using a template today. Click the open and then click import document. And then you will browse to where you have your templates or kits located. You remember in lesson 2, we covered this whole thing thoroughly. I made this little tag for myself that's called Affinity class. Um, so I'll be using that for this specific class. But generally, when I'm scrapbooking, I will come over to my templates on iCloud. And then I will see all of my templates. I have a billion of them. So that's what you'll do. If they're in your downloads folder, you'll get them there. Wherever your items are living on your iPad, that's where you will browse to. So now I'm going to find the template I want. And for this class, I'm planning on using this one right here. You'll see it has 3 different versions. Not every single template set you buy will look like this, but the ones at GingerScraps almost all the time have these 3 options in your PSD/TIFF folder. You'll have the JPEG, which is just a flattened version, basically just an image of that template. You will not use that for scrapbooking. It's just like a preview image. And then it will have the PSD and the TIFF file formats. Preferred is PSD. We talked about that a lot in previous lessons, but that's the preferred method. So there it is. There is the template. And then you can click over here, the layers panel, and you'll see all the different layers that are included with this template all ready for you to go and build it. Isn't that exciting? It's so easy. You're going to love it. Okay, before we get started though, we do have to, get you acquainted a little bit with what you're looking at. So you're not totally overwhelmed and, you have some idea of what you're looking at. So the first thing that we'll look at is the workspace. This whole entire page is the Affinity Photo 2 app. And the top, we have a couple different sectioned out places of tools. First, we have the center, and this is where your layout or project you'll be working on goes, right in the middle. This little bit of a gray box. This is your work surface. And then on the left side over here, you'll have all these different tools. So you have the move, the brush, crop, making selections. We'll cover those more thoroughly, but we're just quickly going over them now. On the top, you'll have a couple of different settings. This area is called your personas. We'll talk about that in a second. And then we have a couple different things right here. This is snapping. This is toggling the preview mode, and that is zooming options. And then over here, we have the right side toolbar or the studios. The most common place you're going to be is in your layers panel. You click it to bring that out. And then you have other things like color, brushes, effects. Effects are like styles in Photoshop, if that's what you're familiar with. This is your text tool. Down here, we have transform, which is how you resize different boxes and shapes. This will be your history, which shows you a whole history of everything you've done. We haven't done anything yet, so there's no history there. These are your undo and redo buttons. In a previous lesson, we showed the setting on how to make sure these are visible. If you're coming here and these are not visible, you'll set that up in your settings. I think that's in lesson 1. And then this is a great thing right here, your little help. I think this is also something we have to set up in settings. And if you click and hold it, it will show you the name of every tool, every icon, and what it's called. It is so helpful. So the first thing let's cover a little more fully is the personas, which is our top bar right here. Now I have, when you click, I currently have the Affinity Photo default persona selected This is where we were going to work through, I would say 99% of the time. This is where we're going to be in the photo persona. There's liquify, there's develop, toning map, and export. So quickly, the photo is the main workspace. This is where you'll drag in your photos, your papers, your embellishments, add add shadows, clip layers, etc. And then liquify is used to warp and reshape things. You will rarely need this for scrapbooking. I've probably used it twice. I really don't even know how to use it very well because I don't use it. I can find out more if you're interested. I can definitely find out more and dig in more to that. The develop persona is for raw photos. If you want to edit the raw information on your photo. The toning map is used for HDR photography. It's not needed for scrapbooking. I've never used it. The export persona is where you'll save your finished layouts. I've never used that either. I know that's what it's for, but I save mine by saying, by clicking on this little 3 lines right there, and then I say export. So maybe it comes the same way by using this. That didn't seem like it did. So, now I'm really off. Hold on, it will get back to where I want. Yeah, I've never used that. I've never scrapbooked. I've never saved a file with export. It took me a minute. It takes the program a minute to get back to this main page from, I was working with this one. We'll go back to it now. Okay, so one thing to make note of is if you ever get lost or your tools look different and you are confused because you're not seeing all these tools that you're used to seeing, and you're not seeing the layers panel and all of those things, most likely you're just in the wrong persona. So come on up here and go back to photo. That's where we will be almost all the time. You really don't need very many of the tools in Affinity Photo to make beautiful scrapbook pages. Like I said before, you'll only be using a small sectioning of them will get you some beautiful, beautiful, amazing pages. But what's so fun is that there are so many possibilities. You could get really advanced and end up creating extremely advanced works of art with your photography, with your scrapbooking pages. There's so many limitless options, which makes it a very fun, powerful scrapbooking program. The most common tools. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of a dry throat. Give me one sec. I'm going to take a drink. I'm trying to just film these right on through without stopping to edit them. So you might hear me take a drink. I'm a real live person over here, just making some videos to hopefully help you out. So we have the move tool, this is the view tool. When you're in the view tool, you cannot do anything except move it around. You cannot move a layer, like nothing will happen. That means you're on the move tool. It's just basically, the view tool. That's just to basically look at it. You can just pan around your layout. The next thing is the move tool, which is the arrow. So when you have the, now watch, I want to just show you something real quick. On the view tool, do you see how there's not a lot up here? Because you're just looking at the page. Now when you select the move, did you see all those other options that popped up? That will happen with every tool that you have selected. Do you see how as I select different tools, that top bar, the options change? So I'm just sampling through them real quick so you can see how, now I clicked on this paintbrush tool and we got some more dialogues that popped out over here. That's for adjusting how you want your brush to go. The same thing with the eraser. It has these additional options. So you'll see that with different tools, different things will pop out. Different things will change. So now we're back up to the move tool. Now with the move tool, this is how you move, resize, rotate your photos, your elements. So when I click on items now, you see it brings up the little bounding box. I'm going to open up the layers panel so you can see what happens. When I click on anything, it will select that layer and then it will highlight that layer in the layers panel. Another way you can do it is if you want to try to find that specific layer, like I want this banner, I can just select banner without, I don't have to find it on the page to select it. I can select it in the layers panel or on the page. So see, it's right there in that little box. What about the word best? I can see it right here and select it like that. Or let's say I'm on this one. I can come over here and see it's right here and select it like that. So those are the two different ways you can select something. We also have the crop tool. That's obviously used to trim and crop. The selections tool, which is right here. And then I'm using a mouse for the purposes of this tutorial. I usually use my Apple Pencil, but or you can use your finger too. If you click it, you will bring up this additional marquee type tools, which is for selecting. See those different options, a freehand selection also, a row, a column, a circle, elliptical, and a rectangular marquee. I use whatever. It's on marquee. Sometimes I use that. I use that pretty often though. I do use that tool quite a bit. And then we have the paintbrush tool for obviously painting, erasing for the next eraser, and then the text tool for adding journaling, titles, word art. This tool right here, the rectangle tool, it has a lot of different shapes that you can bring up. So it just shows a little rectangle, but when you click on it, you see all these different shapes you can use. And at the very bottom, the QR code tool. We talked about that a little bit in a previous lesson too, I believe, but I will definitely cover this in probably the next lesson or maybe the one following that. But I use QR codes for YouTube videos in almost all of my pages. I can show you real quick, although we're going to get off in the weeds here, but that's typical for me. You can see in this page, which I'm not finished with this page yet, but I'm working on it. This is photographs of the day, obviously, and then this little thing says video memory, scan me. I blocked that for this class because it's got a bunch of videos of my grandkids, so just for privacy's sake. But now when I have this printed out in my photo album, or if I send it to anyone, they can scan that QR code and watch a full day of these fun memories of the kids playing on the slip and slides and all of those fun things. So now we're back to this template again. Where was I? Oh yeah, I talked about that QR code tool, which is living in the rectangle tool. It's kind of a funny spot for it, but that's where that is. If you want to jump ahead and mess with it yourself, feel free, but I'll cover it in a future lesson for sure. And then last on the list is the artistic text tool, and it has the artistic and a frame text tool. I almost always use the frame text tool. I rarely use the artistic one. It's just a different way of bringing out titles. We can cover fonts and text options more in another video also. Or we'll probably start it in the next one we actually start building this, but I'm just getting you familiar with everything right now. And then obviously I didn't cover all these tools because that will take a long time. I'm just giving you the basics. And then when we start making a page, I'll talk a little bit more and show you how to use each one. But right now I'm just trying to cover everything. And then again, down here in the lower right is that little question mark. So handy. And then these are your undo and redo. So if you make a mistake, you can undo it, you can redo it, and your history. And then, over here we have, okay, well, I'm jumping ahead. Okay. Now let's cover the right-hand side over here. So like I said before, this is your layers menu. That is where I think it's called your layers panel. Excuse me, not menu. But you're going to be using this nonstop the whole time you're building your page. You can drag, you can see how that highlighted when I clicked on it. You can drag that down. It's a little bit more annoying with this mouse, I'm noticing. So I am going to use my Apple Pencil here for a minute, so you might not be able to see me as clearly because that's how you can see what I'm doing as my Apple Pencil. I mean my mouse. But with the Apple Pencil, I can get an item and then just drag it down to wherever I want it to go. So if I want it to be, now we're talking about this flower right here. I don't know if you saw that, but let's say I wanted that flower, down under the white one. No, I decided I want it above the white one. I'll just bring it above the white one. And now I can show you in the history that will show you the things I just did. If I want to bring it, I'm going to use my mouse again here to show you. If I want to bring it to the original, I would just click that. That was our very first thing. That was the second thing I did, selecting it. Then I moved it down, then I moved it back up. So you can go to all your different, every move you make is in the history bar right there. And I don't know, there's a setting and it has the amount of saved moves that you did. I can't remember what mine's set at, but I've never had a problem with doing things and then saying, oh no, my memory's not saved. So it does go back pretty far just by default. And then I wonder how long this video is. It getting too long? We're going to try to speed through this so we can start having some fun. But over here, you'll see your brushes panel. That will give you lots of different options. You can tweak all of these. This is your adjustment layers. You can do adjustments on all sorts of different things. We can cover that more later. Filters, your the FX Studio. It's not showing me anything right now because I have it on the text, so I need it on the move tool. And then let's get a layer highlighted here. So now I have that pink flower highlighted right here. And I can click FX and it will give me all these different default options of bevel, emboss, outline, inner shadow. Most commonly, we always need that outer shadow. The outer shadow is what really makes your layout look like it is a true old school scrapbook page instead of, oh, you can really tell they created that on the computer. You just use a little shadowing. It can bring your page to life. And play around with outer glows and color overlays. And I use styles. I keep calling them styles because that's what they're called in Photoshop. You're going to hear me say that pretty often. I will try my best to remember to call them effects, but I can't promise I will always remember to. So these are all, I use this panel every single time I scrapbook. This is where I'm here a lot. I even have a couple of my styles that I made myself, so I can quickly and easily just apply styles to layers. We will go over that more in depth when we begin to scrapbook. I can even make a whole specific video just on this. I was going to call it styles again, just on the FX panel. And then you have your text panel, and it will give you lots of different options for when you are in your text mode. And choosing fonts, you can choose fonts up here or over here, the size, the justification, the leading, everything that you might want to try to change. I've never used the histogram. I don't even know what it is. I think it has to do with actual photographs. Channels, I've also never used it. Macros, that looks like it also has to do with photography. It looks like you can get some stock photos. Never used it. I use this constantly. This transform box down here. Every single page, lots of constant movement in this area. This is for changing the position or dimension of your items on your page. And then down here, we have this little alignment option for centering horizontally and vertically. I use it constantly. So we will be looking at that a lot. Let's see, is there anything I missed? I think that is about covers it for quickly going over everything. So we will call it good for lesson 4. Now that we've explored the Affinity Photo 2 workspace and learned where everything lives and opened up our very first template, whee! So now you are ready. You have your you have all your settings for an Affinity Photo optimized for scrapbooking. You have your kit and template or whatever products you're using downloaded, organized, and ready to go for you to easily find on your iPad. And you have a general sense of knowledge of how this program is going to work. You've opened up your first template and you are ready to scrapbook. I hope you're enjoying this series. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any new lessons. And don't forget all the free resources and templates that I mentioned in my previous video. They're all in the GingerScraps form under the welcome wagon. All you have to do is register. In the GingerScraps form, it will give you access to the members only welcome wagon where everything is free. And then, of course, we hope you stop by the shop and buy some stuff because we have the best digi-scrapping supplies on the internet. All wonderful quality, so much variety, everything you could ever look for, everything you could ever want. If you have a specific scrapbooking need and you think they don't have that in the store and you look through the store and you don't find it, you can let me know by start a support ticket. You can DM me in the forum. I'm easy to reach. And you can request it and I will ask our designers if any of them are willing to make that. We just had that happen last week. As a matter of fact, I had a customer contact me and she wanted a scrapbooking collection specifically for twin baby boys. And one of my designers within a week made that collection for her and for anyone else who wants to buy it. And it is now available in the store. So yeah, it's as easy as that. We have an amazing community, so many great members. I could go on and on, but I won't because I'm tired. I'm tired of yapping. All right, I will see you later. Bye.